What's next after the ceasefire and the Israel-Hamas hostage and prisoner exchange? For 18-year-old praise and worship leader Illit Ferguson, it's off to war. She's been drafted into the Israel Defense Forces. In 1976, her American dad and Israeli mother started Ma'oz Israel Ministries, a Messianic Jewish organization. Illit is here with us now from Israel to give us the latest. Shalom, Illit. So tell us, when did you receive that draft notice and what was your reaction?
Shalom. So I received my draft notice around 2 years ago. That's when the process of getting drafted begins, or usually around when someone's 16 years old. So the process has been ongoing. I think especially during this time, during the war, of course, I have like my own fears of getting drafted, but it's also exciting because I can make a difference. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but it is exciting because there's a lot to come.
Well, before the 5-day ceasefire, the fighting looked pretty intense there. Already at least 380 IDF soldiers have been killed since October 7th. So it's pretty risky, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm not nervous about bodily injury, just because I'm willing to do what it takes to fight for my country, but also it does take time until my training period is over. They have shortened it because of the war. So if the war continues, once my training is done, then I will be taking an active part in the war itself and in fighting against Hamas. But if anything, I'm more excited and honored to be able to be a part of it. Going into the IDF, it's something that every Israeli does. And so, yeah, if anything, I do feel very excited for it. So.
Well, what emotions did you experience when you saw the release of those old and young, very young children, Israeli hostages?
Well, I felt so happy. I felt just very relieved also. I was watching the videos, I was crying. Just because we have a saying in Israel, "Alev shelanu shavui be'aza." It's our heart is captive in Gaza, and that's how the country feels right now. There's been rallies and protests with the signs "Bring them home," and it's honestly just like gets me choked up because I feel so relieved for so many families who are able to be reunited again. Because it's just so heartbreaking. So yeah, it's been just like the whole country is just overjoyed, and we're just waiting for the rest of them to also come home and
well,
be back.
especially when you see little children. Some of those children weren't any more than about 8 or 9, I think. So what about the demonstrations here in the U.S.? I mean, you're 18. A lot of people your age are in college here in the U.S., and they're joining in on these protests at college campuses chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What do you think of that?
For me, it's especially in the beginning of the war, it was very difficult to see that because in my mind, in the beginning of the war, I feel like other countries were more pro-Israel because everything that had just been happened, all the killings and murders and just all the atrocities that had happened. But the minute Israel started fighting back, I just saw an overwhelming just hatred and towards Israel, towards Jewish people. And it's honestly horrifying. But at the same time, I have to remember and I had to remind myself that our fight is not against flesh and blood, and that a lot of these people have no idea what they're saying. They have no idea the weight of their words. And they truly believe that Israel is the aggressor and that Jews should be killed. But that's another thing. It says it in the Bible that because the Jewish people are the chosen people, that we will suffer a lot. And so I think that there is a lot of hatred towards Israel during this time, but there's also overwhelming amounts of love and support. And it's important for me to remember that that a lot of that love and support is, while it can feel like it's being overshadowed by the hatred, that's what the enemy wants. And so I can't let myself feel like that.
And you're a Messianic Jew and you love to sing. You've traveled around the world, including in Brazil, to share praise music. Why do you do that?
Um, well, I started worshiping in 2020. I was always I'm very self-conscious and have really bad stage fright and stuff. I never expected to be able to travel and sing and lead worship, and it's been amazing. I'm just very overwhelmed by the fact that God has called me to this. If 2 years ago I couldn't, if I knew that I had gone and led worship in other countries, I wouldn't have believed that. So
Well, maybe
yes,
in the IDF you can share your faith with some of the soldiers there. I'm sure
I
they,
definitely plan. Yeah.
you could be singing on the front lines. Who knows? Praise and worship, praising the Lord on the front lines in Gaza. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And may God be with you as you serve your country at this critical time. Shalom.
Thank you.